Hey guys, Dustin Deline here, and welcome to Brewing Wealth Podcast. On this episode, we have Landon Bahl, a local entrepreneur in Minot, North Dakota, running such companies as Knowles Jewelry, Land Alive, Metagoshi Docks and Lifts, and more. So get your coffee and take a seat. This is Brewing Wealth Podcast.
Podcast. We have Landon Bahl here. We are at Prairie Sky Breads. Thank you to Prairie Sky Breads on First Street. What did I say?
First Street? No. Well, the crazy thing is there's no street signs out here, so it's like we're one street off of Main Street, downtown Minot.
First Street Southeast, downtown
There
Minot.
you go. Yeah.
You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah.
I think that's proper.
Yeah, absolutely. Landon Bahl grew up in the Magic City, actually. Born in Wisconsin for a little bit. Grew up in Minot. Started a lot of businesses in Minot. Still have some running in Minot today. And currently live in Grand Forks, North Dakota. So, yeah.
There you go. Of course, my name is Jalen.
Nice to meet you, Jalen.
How did we meet again?
My brother.
Mikkel.
My youngest brother is like, hey, if you need more videographers or whatever, or photographers, like, I know someone. And I'm like, and so literally, what did I call you? Like a week before?
You called me 3 days before.
3 days before, yeah. So I like called you and I was like, Jalen.
I felt like it was 3 days before.
I remember I was driving from point A to point B, and I was like, I gotta call Jalen. You were on my list to call, and it was a busy week, and so I called you up, and you had no clue who I was.
No, I didn't even know who you were.
Mikkel's like, yeah, I just know him. He was like, what were you, student body president or student council president or something? Yeah. And I'm like, all right, if he's got to have a good head on his shoulders, right? And so that's so I called you up, and I'm like, hey, I need your help. so you came through.
The first question of the day is, how did you get started starting your businesses, and what businesses do you have? Because I know you have about 3 on your back right now, right?
Yeah, I think, I have 4 actually, I guess. Well, it depends what a person considers a business, right? Like in this day and age, it's so different, right? Like you can
call this a business.
Yeah, exactly.
But
right?
This is more of like a hobby for me.
Yeah, a hobby, right? I mean, if you're bringing in revenue, then hell yeah, it's a business, right? But anyway, so let's see. How did I get started? Probably way back in the day. I took out my first loan back when I was a junior in high school.
Okay.
And so that's how I got started with my first business. That was a concession trailer, like a food. Nowadays you see a bunch of food trucks and everything. Mm-hmm. That was a concession trailer, so brand new concession trailer, and so that's really how I got started. Mm-hmm. And then it just kind of evolved from there, and so just recently started a new business. However, again, it goes back to what do we consider a business, right? Like, so this new business, like, the LLC is formed, but yet is it a business yet? Mm-hmm. So technically probably 7 businesses, and again, some of those super small. And right now I probably have, 1, 2, 3 in operation that have some longevity to them, whereas the others are.
And which ones are those? So
that'd be one is a jewelry store in Minot, Knowles Jewelry in Minot. Another one would be kind of a hobby of mine, but it's bringing in revenue. I got to pay bills and everything. That would be a music festival. That you helped with, obviously. That's how we met. And
Lando Live is what it's called.
Lando Live, yes, that's a whole nother topic in and of itself, right? That name. So we have that, the jewelry business. Oh, I'm forgetting the one that I started, back in 2015, Metagoshi Dock and Lift.
Yeah, you're the only one out there that really does stuff like that, huh?
I would say we're the only one. There's a couple people in the competitive land, the market there that you could say are our competitors, but I think we've built that business so well to where we don't think we have anyone. No one's on our radar, which is great. So we're the only one that has a brick and mortar up there, a retail shop. I feel that way about like a lot of businesses in Minot or just North Dakota in general. Like my business itself is like I don't really have anybody to really go against. I mean, I guess I do have 2. Who
who've been doing it longer than me, and they can bring in some better revenue than I can at the moment. But really, like, you know.
But hold on, how long has Whitaker Media been going though?
It's been going for almost a year.
Okay, so you're in the infancy stages, right?
Yeah. So, and then they've been going for about 3 years.
Yeah.
So.
And I really like in the media business, whether it's like back in the day when marketing agencies were a big thing, I really think like your business takes time, right? You got to show, like, it's all about your work. So
yeah.
1 year is maybe.
It's really interesting, you know, like. Oh, but before we get into that, what made you want to start those businesses that you have right now?
Yeah, I would have to say, I would find myself. I started working for other people. I was at the age of 12. Worked for a nursery here in town called Cashman Nursery that was in business for decades. Tim Cashman has since passed away and everything, but it was at the North Dakota State Fairgrounds, and so I was. I'll never forget. It was. I think it would have been my 6th or 7th grade spring. I was still 12, about to turn 13, and I started working for him. So doing landscaping and so, I mean, I could work for people. I could. Yeah. I was a decent employee,
so
but like
you saying that Landon Bahl was pushing lawnmowers outside.
Oh, not pushing carts with big ass trees and everything like that.
Yeah,
so
yeah. I
would say. Well, actually, better yet. So Landon Bahl, at the age of 13, was doing payroll for this company.
Yep.
So I shit you not. So it's so Cash. Let me give you a quick 20-second backstory on Cashman Nursery. So great individual. His family, his brother Dan, still owns Cashman Nursery in Bismarck. Large nursery, a lot of landscaping.
Yep.
Very successful. Tim was. Loved the guy. My entire family knew him. My grandpa knew him, did business with him, and he ran his business very old school, which worked for him. Worked for him for many, many, many years.
But you get to a point where it's like
it's gonna make or break you.
Yep,
right?
you gotta move. You gotta move forward. Yep.
And so he was so busy. He had 30 employees, and so he's doing payroll. He literally did payroll the old school way, like.
Writing it down,
and you take this percentage and figure out this tax, and then it was nuts. And so it was a super easy. It was just a formula to everything, right?
Yeah.
And so one day, one person, you could say I was like the shop bitch in a sense, because my brothers will always tease me because I had 2 older brothers that worked there too. They were always going out on landscaping jobs, but they were older than me too, right?
Yep.
And so I was always getting orders ready in the shop, right? Wrapping bare root trees, all that stuff, getting them ready for jobs. But but then Tim's like, he goes, Landon, like, and then he sits me down and shows me how to do payroll. And literally, no joke, I am sitting here doing. Some days it was $20,000 in payroll because everyone would get overtime because they worked so much, and so I was literally doing payroll for this company at the age of 13, which I think that's
pretty wild.
It was hilarious.
13 years old doing payroll,
and
that's a good achievement though to put on your back for any other job.
And
like I've been doing payroll at 13.
Tim believed that he. There's a few corrections that I had to make, but he didn't have anyone to do that.
Yeah.
So,
and that kind of runs into the next question too. Is like, how did you even get into finance part? Like, how did you? Did you learn it from that experience, or did you have? I feel
like I'm still learning finance part. I would say like back in the day. So like my first, I had lemonade stands, but only they were lemonade stands on steroids, right?
So you're a true entrepreneur.
Yeah, literally, during our neighborhood garage sales, I rolled out this huge plywood thing that was on casters, so I could roll it, and sold popcorn, mini donuts, snow cones, and so. I think back in that day, what's funny is one of my younger brothers, who you met, Grayson, sometimes I would have to run back to the house and get stuff, and I knew exactly how many snow cone cups there were or popcorn bags there were. So if Grayson came back and he was eating some, I knew how many were gone. So I think that plays into that whole finance part, knowing your revenue, your inventory, and your expenses, right? But no, finance in general is... that's probably the toughest thing I would say most entrepreneurs struggle in that sense, right? Because I feel like a true entrepreneur is go, go, go. So they're always thinking about how do they build their business. But what's just as important is how do you manage your finances? So even to this day, it's I'm still learning that, and it's something I can get better at. So it's finance. That's the non-sexy part of having your own business, right? Is dealing with all that paper and bookwork.
And I talk about all the time how like I thought like, I'm gonna make a bunch of money with this business, and then here I am making money, and then like throwing it at like this expense versus this expense.
New mics, new cameras. And it's just like, well, now to do this job, I need this camera. Like we've talked about. Yeah, it's never ending. So it's really figuring out where's the best place to put your money, and is now the time to do it, or do you keep using this mic? Right? Can you use this mic for another 2 years? Get by. So that's where. I also think entrepreneurs struggle, right? I'm a go big or go home guy. So
I know, I can tell.
So I need if I'm ready, or if I have if I think I have the financial capacity to do it, I'm going to do it, right?
Landon's like first year festival, fireworks, freaking bouncy houses, like best music ever, best food.
It's just the go big or go home. And it's just like, why do something if you're going to do it half-assed?
But see, exactly. And I love that about you, because not a lot of entrepreneurs go big or go home. It's always like, and I'm like, but what if we die? Like, when we leave this podcast, we can get in a car accident, and then, and that's it.
Exactly.
Like, I want to at least be like suffering. Like, at least I did what I had to do.
At least I tried that. Yeah. Because like, what's the point? Like, why stay in the safe zone? That's not fun. It's not fun at all. And I don't think I think if there's one thing I can pride myself on, maybe I stayed in the safe zone when I started my lawn business, right? Okay, that's pretty safe. But other than that, it's just like, no. Balls to the wall. So.
No, I definitely understand. I definitely get it. And the biggest thing too is like, I don't know about you. Have you ever had to deal with like, how do people view you in starting your business? And then like, how do you maintain clients, and like, how do you or maintain customers? You're gonna have mess ups, and the first year, like I've had 1,000 mess ups. I've already like two. I get texts all, hey, grammar, that needs to be fixed. I'm like,
I think the biggest, but I think that's okay, right? You have to have those mistakes, but I also think you need to be able to admit that you have those. So, for example, you have done that. However, on my end, I feel like it's harder. I don't like admitting that like I did something wrong or I should have done that, so I could probably learn from you in the fact that like just admit it and move on, right?
Well, because that's another reason, like I'm raised like that with my dad, being in the military, like if you come home with bad grades, like you're not trying,
right?
And that's it. Do you want to try?
And
like
better,
because like I remember like real quick growing up, my dad, like that's like one of the biggest things that he taught me. It's just like don't what is it? Don't sugarcoat life.
Absolutely.
Like if you know that you're messing up, just admit it and just go forward, go with it, because that's how he raised me. It's just like, hey, you're not doing so hot right here.
Exactly.
Like it's not like, oh, it's okay. It's okay.
Exactly.
No, you're not doing good.
Figure it out. Figure out the issue and find a solution, and get better at whatever it is.
And I think a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners could take after you, because not a lot of people can just tell somebody that. Because you just tell me, you're just like, hey, Jalen, that's you need to fix that. And I'm like, okay, cool.
I think that comes with time, right? Like I've worked with a handful of Jalen's, right? I've worked with a handful of...
I'm one of a kind. Hold on.
So let me rewind, edit that, right? I've worked with a lot of media people, right? And social media people, we'll put it that way. And it's just like sometimes instead of admitting the problem, they'll just be like, I don't think we're the right fit for you. And I'm like, what? I just told you two things, and now we're not the right fit for each other. Like, okay, But going back to your question, I want to rewind and touch on how do people view you, and I think that's one of the biggest hurdles. If you're an entrepreneur starting your own business, whatever, people are like, people will try and walk all over you.
Yeah.
Whether it be clients, other business people. So I think that's the toughest thing, and I think that's why this relationship works, because I know that Whitaker Media is, only a year old, and so I'm willing to, I was there when my businesses were a year old, and if you don't have someone if you just have someone that's just trying to walk all over you, or they view you as just a young kid, you don't know what you're doing. Well, false. You kind of know what you're doing. You're starting your own business.
Yeah.
How many other people are doing that?
Yeah.
So that was probably the toughest thing.
Yeah. And, and that goes back to because I'm a service-based business,
Yeah.
I never understood, if somebody got to the point where I could tell that they're trying to walk over me or something,
Yeah.
it's like, why did we even sit down in the meeting in the first place?
Yeah.
You knew that you needed something that I know better,
Yeah.
It's like, if I were to come to your business,
Yep.
I know that Landon knows how to throw a festival. I want to throw a festival. I'm just going to listen.
Right.
I'm not going to dog him or anything. I'm just
sure.
going to listen, And that's what a lot of people, I feel like, have issues with.
And I think they can't admit that, say, for example, you're talking social media with a 60-year-old businessman or woman.
Yep.
They're gonna want to feel like they know more than you, but at the end of the day, they really don't.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
yet it's just they've known everything
Yep.
about their business.
Their
right?
business,
and I
yep.
think
And that's their baby. I always like to think about it like that. That's their baby. So you have to be very
just gotta
you're stepping on a line
Yeah.
when it comes
Yeah.
to how you're going to promote that brand.
Yeah.
Because when promoting a brand is very important. You don't want to see I accidentally posted another jewelry store versus this one because I got the two mixed up when I was at night 2 a.m. trying to stay awake while posting. And by the way, that's what happens with the grammar stuff. I'll be up at 2 a.m. I'll be I hope that's right. Send it off,
And yeah, that's obviously. I mean, I'm horrible at grammar too, but it's just again, going back to that.
Yeah.
You admitted that it was. We're moving on, right? It's okay, let's have less grammar errors, And and I think a lot of other business people, they would see that and be like, no, this business or this whatever it is, they're incompetent, can't do it, And so I think that's just an issue that young entrepreneurs run into day in, day out. And I think I'm finally over that, over that hump in a sense. Being that I'm almost 30, so I
still can't. That blows me away every single time you tell me that.
that I'm getting old. That I'm old.
I'm thinking that you're when I first met you, I was like, oh yeah, this guy's 23, 24.
Yeah. Hell, gladly, as long as I keep my hair. Yeah, I can maybe continue to pull that off for a year or two longer. So
the funny thing is all of your family members all look this. You guys all look so much alike.
See, what's weird is for people that don't know, I have 4 brothers, right?
Yep.
I'm the middle, 2 older, 2 younger. I don't think any of us look alike, but that's just probably me just being blinded, right?
Because you've been around them your whole life.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so I'm no, I don't look like my brother's got long ass hair and.
You ever think about getting long hair like Mikkel?
I had long hair.
What happened to it?
My
Why'd you cut it?
So I had it my freshman and sophomore year. Mm-hmm. It was never as long as and luscious as Mikkel's. I will
Everybody
say,
says that.
He's got good hair, right?
I can't wait till he sees this podcast. He's gonna be like, oh, yep, he's gonna screen record that side right there.
I know. I shouldn't have just making his head larger about his damn hair. But no, I was rocking the flow back in the day. And it's just too much work.
Yeah.
I'm like, cut that, So I did. I give him crap. I'm like, cut your hair, dude.
Yeah.
Move on. But he, it's kind of part of him, and so maybe he'll have it for a little longer.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about hair.
Yeah. So, if you had one person that you look up to, it could be financials, it could be entrepreneurship, it could be somebody close, it could be somebody famous. Who is that person for you?
That's a great question. I would think about it to trim it down to one person is tough, right?
That's why I have issues with too. I'm always this person.
That's tough.
But the people that you surround. I'm sorry to cut you out, but the people that surround you, their personalities make you as well.
Oh, absolutely.
So 100%. That's why it's always can't just be one person.
I'm a firm believer in that. I would say first my parents, and then second my late grandpa. So I would say, like, my grandpa was a true entrepreneur. He had over 10 restaurants in his day.
Jeez.
He built the golf course, Wildwood Golf Course, west of town. He a hotel, the first oxygen nitrogen plant in North Dakota. He was hauling gravel on the Missouri River, barge style. Like, he had a farm down there. He's the one that probably really, just hearing his experiences, I think is what made me go, like, what the heck? Like, this is so cool. Like, I want to have all these different experiences, right, in life, and be able to, the stories, right? The stories you can tell and the life lessons you learn from each of those. For example, when he was hauling gravel on a barge down south of the Big Lake at the Missouri River, one of his barges got hung up on a sandbar, and that was it.
Jeez.
That, like, back in the day, he couldn't go any further. Like, it was basically like, so just weird stories like that, or even assembling like an oxygen nitrogen plant. Like, I don't even know what that is really, but like
nowadays it's like what were people doing back in the day? Like,
right.
Was that even safe?
Yeah. 100%. No, it was not safe. Like, I feel like some back end of a pipe could have blown off and just taken him out, but I think he first and foremost instilled, like, almost that curiosity, which I think as a business owner or entrepreneur, like, you need that curiosity to move forward and do interesting things.
Yeah.
And so I would say first and foremost, my grandpa, and then I guess my parents. I say my parents because they were always pretty good great champions of mine, right? When I took out that $20,000 loan when I was a junior in high school, playing sports still and working, they didn't go, Landon, don't do that. They just kind of said, like, hey, it's up to you. If you want to A, if you can get this loan, and B, take the risk, do it, and or even I remember my dad, he would help me assemble my big plywood rolling cart for my lemonade stand on steroids, right? Like, so even he helped me in the smallest ways. So, and they had a couple, like, smaller businesses here and there, building spec houses and things of that nature. So they had their own side hustles besides just their jobs. But they were all three of them were champions. And every time when I would tell my grandpa an idea, he would just, like, get this smirk on his face, like, it's like, you're taking my foot, walking in my footsteps for sure. So I think that was, it'd be those three, my late dad and late grandpa, and then my mom is probably my main champion now. But going back to who you surround yourself with, as you saw at my music festival, like, I had all my buddies working for me pro bono. I didn't give them a cent, right? And so when you surround yourself with champions like that, no matter what you do, they're going to stand behind you and help you do it because they know that your vision is going to work and be successful. I think that's what makes an entrepreneur just keep on going.
Yep. Shout out to Dustin, the cameraman behind. He's always looking at my visions and coming along on the ride.
Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously, podcast is called Brewing Wealth. Obviously, we know that basically your whole family is an entrepreneur.
I wouldn't say my whole family.
It sounds like it.
Not really, though.
It sounds like it, man.
So.
But you guys do something, right? And an entrepreneur, it doesn't just have to be like, oh, I'm starting a business to make money, right? It's also like, I feel like it's also like you're doing something to be happy. Like, if you're selling pumpkins outside, you're telling me.
But again, you're making money though, right? So
I know.
This is where I'm going to argue that point a little bit. Like, for example, the whole entrepreneur and entrepreneurship has become a buzzword, right?
Yeah.
Especially, I think, in the last 3 to 5 years, it's just like, I'm an entrepreneur. It's like, well, why are you an entrepreneur? Well, I'm selling this pyramid scheme, and it's like, are you an entrepreneur? I think you're a really good salesman. I don't know that you're an entrepreneur, right?
Yep.
So personally, and we may go against each other here, which is good, right? Yeah. I feel an entrepreneur is someone, if you're taking a risk, and if you don't have to lose sleep as an entrepreneur, but if you're taking a risk, putting something on the line, pledging something, possibly able to lose something, then I think you can consider yourself an entrepreneur.
Okay, ready? All right, so we got a cup here, right?
Yeah.
Let's take my wallet, for example. This is like your 9 to 5. Normal person, there's nothing wrong with being a 9 to 5, right?
It's what makes the world go around, right? We need those 9 to 5.
But on top, we got life. This is life, and then on top, we got bills and everything else, right? As soon as you let that go, if this business fails, the stock market crashes, there go all your bills and everything, right?
Yeah.
And that's where I'm saying, like, even though you're making money, you pick something that you're passionate about, which entrepreneurs are super passionate. All of us have that one thing in common. Yeah, we might pick a job or a business that we don't like. We just know it's going to build wealth. But at the end of the day,
docks and lifts. Yeah. Who the hell wants to do docks and lifts?
I don't know if you would.
No, I don't.
But now we have we got, the 9 to 5 still, which is the full time. And we're going to take my thumb here. And now we have I'm selling honey in the back of my backyard, making $20,000 a year.
Yeah.
And then over here, I'm investing in the stock market because, entrepreneurs are risky. They're risky. They're going to want to do that kind of stuff. And that's where I'm thinking an entrepreneur isn't just business and isn't just about making money. It's also about that, I think we just have to separate. We just have to not put business as the number one thing behind entrepreneurship. It's also it's also that it's that feistiness, that life, that like a daredevil, It's kind of like a person that just wants that adrenaline rush.
I would say agreed. I'm a adrenaline junkie, right?
Yeah, you went skydiving.
I have my skydiving license, yes.
Okay.
So I've only gone 28 times.
I'm kind of worried. I've only went 28 times.
But that's minimum to get your license, right?
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
It's tough to, I think 2022 is 21, but it's tough to skydive around here, right?
Yeah.
There's winter and everything, so I haven't gone in a while. But so speaking of adrenaline, I think that's what keeps me going. I think pledging so much or taking out a loan or paying for an artist and not knowing if I'm going to get 5 attendees there or 5,000 attendees at this festival. I think that's what keeps me going. But going back to what you just said, I think that I think what you described as people having an entrepreneurial spirit, right?
Okay. Now I think you're about to debunk my entrepreneur. I never thought about it that way.
That's not what I'm trying to. That's not what I'm trying to do because.
I know, but I'm just saying. I get what you're saying now.
I just thought about this a lot, and I have one of my majors at UND was entrepreneurship, which means really jack shit, right? It means we had some great professors, then we had some people that never even started a business or never even had worked for themselves trying to teach us entrepreneurship, and it's Can you really do that? Then that goes back to, can you teach entrepreneurship, right?
Yes, 100%.
Again, that's another podcast, right?
That's another podcast, yeah. Today we're kind of on a time crunch.
Yeah, but I think it's that entrepreneurial spirit versus entrepreneur.
Yep.
That's my take on it, right? To each their own, but I think about that day in, day out, especially with entrepreneurship being such a buzzword these days.
Yep.
People throwing it on resumes, and all that. And it's and everyone's definition is completely different, right? Which is fine, but it's it doesn't make sense.
Yep.
No one knows what it means.
Yep.
Right. So it's interesting.
I get it. It. But back to what I was saying.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Brewing wealth. Obviously, entrepreneurs, right? They're going to do something regardless whether it's something that they love and whatnot, or the entrepreneurship spirit. They're going to make money somehow, right?
Yeah.
Did you start these businesses to build your wealth?
100%. I knew that it. I would say, A, work for myself, and B, build my wealth and build that longevity of having, and that experience, right?
Yep.
Because I know that experience was going to take me a long ways. So I think, however, I was just talking to an individual probably like your age just last weekend, and he was saying how he wants to work for himself. He's working for someone else right now, but he's not sure what to do.
Yep.
Right? And so that's exactly how I was. I knew that I just needed to get started. Eventually, I think if you do enough ventures, you'll hit one that will take you to the next stage, right? My lemonade stand, did that take me to the next stage? Well,
I guess in life and mentally it did.
Yeah, mentally, but like, looking at profit and loss, no, it probably didn't, right? Did my concessions trailer do that? Absolutely not. I lost my ass on that, right? And, but yet, like, I look at Metagoshi Dock and Lift, right? That's enabled me to do so many other things, right? And so when you talk about building your wealth, that's enabled me to buy a house, and things of that nature. So I look at wealth, I look at it asset-wise too, right? I'll be honest, I don't have money in the stock markets. I have, my time is consumed in my own businesses and in building my assets, right?
Of course.
The jewelry store, the dock and lift store, that land, my house, things of that nature.
Yep.
And if I wouldn't have done these businesses, I would have been working. I'm still have a full-time job working for the man, if you want to call it, but I wouldn't have been where I am right now.
Yep. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
I get it. Alrighty. About ready to wrap up? What time are we at? Perfect
Oh,
time.
wow.
Alrighty.
So maybe, hold on, we were just talking about Joe Rogan before.
Yeah.
I see how they could go for 4 hours then.
Yes, now you can
If
see.
this is 30 minutes, like,
Yep.
that's
the thing though. If I keep it 30 minutes, then I can bring you back.
Yeah.
And then we can talk more, and then we can have a different episode, a different title. Back with Landon Bahl, if you're interested in that one podcast.
Absolutely. Yeah.
See, and that's the part, and I also like bringing people back because then we just connect again.
Yeah,
Then we
agreed.
get to talk again.
Yep.
And then what you said today might not be what you say in the next 3 weeks if we
Yeah.
plan it in 3 weeks.
Yep.
So that's the fun part.
And so many things can evolve, right? Like,
Yep.
so,
And then we could
Talk to
have
us a
went on
year
like
from now.
10,000 tangents, like
Right, yeah.
but
yeah, absolutely.
So we are here at Prairie Sky Breads. What did I say? First Street, first.
I think you said southeast, but I would say a
First
street
Street
off
Southeast. It's off of Main Street downtown. You should come check them out. They have.
northeast.
I
Yes.
buy tomato basil sourdough. It's like the best.
Oh, really?
Yes, I love it.
I've had a couple lunch sandwiches from here, and
Yeah.
they were phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're ever looking
Yeah.
for morning coffee, lunchtime, evening lunch,
Cool spot.
Awesome spot to be. So
Cool.
that's it. Landon Bahl, Brewing Wealth, episode 3. Appreciate
Killer.
you coming.
Thank you, man.
Oh, we're shaking hands.
We're shaking
Usually,
hands.
we gotta do fist bump.
I always fist bump. Yeah, we can do that. Absolutely.
Alrighty. See you next time.